Hi everyone, welcome back to Through Alchemy. So today's reading is going to be all about where do you need to forgive yourself and how do you do that. So we have three piles from the left to right. The first pile is Tiger Eye. The second pile is Opalite. And the third pile is Tree Agate. Pause if you need a little bit longer, pick the one which calls your name the most. Now I'm going to begin with pile number 1. Hello pile number 1, if you chose the Tiger Eye stone, this is going to be your reading. So the picture that you chose is of a woman, sort of like a bubble in the air, which is a lot in blue and yellow. She has this sort of demeanor where I feel like she's in an introspective state, but she's verbalizing a lot that comes from her sacral chakra, which specifically speaks about our own authentic expression of self. So before we begin with the cards, I get an idea that you are somebody who struggles with speaking your truth because sometimes you hesitate or there's a lot of self-doubt in your truth. I feel like you're somebody who also struggles with self-gaslighting. Like you try to convince yourself, you sort of like downplay your own feelings and you convince yourself that it doesn't matter to you that much when it actually does. And that is sort of perceived as self-sabotaging behavior because it again doesn't allow you to completely express yourself, right? The background is full of yellow, it's sort of like a sun. And before I began off with this reading, I was going to pick citrine for your pile. So that makes a lot of sense because citrine works with solar plexus, which is yellow color. I see that you're somebody who struggles with perhaps your own defenses because there's a fortification of stones around. Now, sometimes it's important to have structure in our life, but it can become suffocating when we sort of like suffocate ourselves inside it, right? We just make ourselves limited. And if you take a closer look, there's a sort of stream of water coming through the stones, particularly in the front, which gives me that there are some times when you burst out, which is kind of like a no-brainer because the tiger eye definitely works with a lot of emotional regulation. It helps with a lot of aggression as well. Personally, I use this on days I don't understand my emotions and I feel quite hot-headed. That's especially when my angels recommend me to wear this stone. So I feel like it's kind of related with perhaps people that you have dealt with or people who have made you feel like your emotions are not as important, or this could most like this could majorly stem from your childhood where your parents believe that it's important or it works more in your favor if you stay unemotional about certain things, which gave you an idea that downplaying your feelings is a safer place to be in, is a safer thing to do and move forward with. All right. So before I flip these cards out, I'm gonna shuffle the tarot deck for you. I think there's a resistance to your intuition where you don't listen to how you want to be. Instead, you still follow the rules you have been taught. I feel like it's a huge part of just manipulating yourself because you might be scared of failure And you're scared if, I think that you are somebody who doesn't trust your own intuition, whether that might be hurtful for you to absorb, but I get a great sense that you also kind of like fortify yourself because you don't trust your own instincts and yourself. And the reason why you have so much self doubt is because you don't listen to your intuition. You might be quite different from how other people are around you, or let's just say your blood relations. So it makes you feel a little bit perverse as to how you're so spiritual and you're quite intuitive compared to them, or you just have this sense of knowing from within. But a part of gaslighting yourself is that you convince yourself that what my intuition is telling me is not right for me because I see how things work out for other people, so I should also follow that. And that's precisely where I see a fear of failure, where I think you get scared to listen to your own self. You're scared, what if I take the wrong decision? This could also sort of like enable you to feel um, a lot of trust issues around other people. You don't trust people easily. And I'll sort of let you in on a secret, which is like if you don't trust yourself, you can't trust other people. Trust issues come from within. Of course, that is something that you might understand, but the sort of like breakdown of it is that when you don't trust your own intuition, you don't trust your discernment whether you should get close to another person or not. So, does that make sense? It's like you don't trust your discernment when it tells you that you can't trust this person or you can't trust them because you like to get more opinions outside rather than yourself. So, this all binds in the way that you operate and why you sort of like fortify yourself and don't let other people in because you don't know if it's the right choice to actually proceed with that person or situation or not, because whatever your intuition is telling you, you're already downplaying it. Your intuition speaks to you through your feelings. So a part of you which believes that your feelings are wrong or they should not be heard also enables you to distrust your intuition. All right. So I am going to place the cards on the side for a bit. I'm going to open your cards. We have Trine, Angelic Support, Perfect Flow and Harmony. And we have Spirit Bear, 396 Hertz. One of the things I immediately notice is that 396 is a very balancing number. And with Trine over here, this gives me that you're somebody that is being guided by your angels and you're very, very protected. So certain situations where you might have um, been around people that weren't for your good wouldn't lead you to a higher potential. I think that your guides make sure that those things don't succeed. They've been protecting you from a lot of, I would say, dangerous situations or um, not so good people that don't have your best interest. They purposely make things fail so that it doesn't corrupt you. So I think that this is to remind you that God's protection is man's rejection. So any people, place, or thing that has let you go is because of divine intervention. Is so that they can protect you because you don't understand completely the difference between what's good for you and what's bad for you. And this is not to make you feel small, but this is for you to understand that there's work to be done when it comes to building faith in your intuition. I've personally had such a long road to believing in my intuition, and there were a lot of mistakes that I made, which sometimes used to make me feel like I'm stupid. And that's a part of understanding that before I took that step, I already knew what my intuition was telling me. It's like I would probably ignore it just because I felt like this is the way to be, or this is an impulsive reaction this is an impulsive action that I've taken out of my, neediness. So it's not easy to trust your intuition when it's being backed up by codependency, neediness, or perhaps addictions, or let's just say a way of being for most of the time. So it would take you a lot of time, and I think that the first step of forgiveness is to be polite to yourself. I think that when we downplay our feelings, we're being majorly critical of ourselves. I think that you're somebody that is very insightful spiritually, but there's certain things that you need to decide and commit yourself for your own growth and well-being. I think pile number one, you're somebody that easily gets into trouble sometimes. And I think I'm getting a background of addictions over here specifically. I think the way this correlates with you wanting to not be, I would say, sober is perhaps because you can't take the overwhelming feeling of your emotions. And when you keep suppressing everything inside, you're going to become uneasy in your body. You're not going to be able to spend time with yourself peacefully. It's like the moment we sit alone, there are thousands of questions that come up, like, why didn't my parent love me? Why didn't they have my back? Why did that person betray me? Why did that person leave me? Why didn't they love me enough? Why is my job not working out the way I want it to? Why can't I love myself? Why can't I stop smoking or drinking? Why can't I stop neglecting myself? There are thousands of things. I think that the moment you sit alone, your intuition starts speaking really loudly to you, and you just start doing something else, or you go back to this coping mechanism of numbing it out. And I think you need to be a little bit softer with yourself, because you need to be your best friend during this time. What you need to forgive yourself is for perhaps more than once caving back into the same habit, because it feels so difficult to just be by yourself and listen to what you really want to be heard about. There's something about your inner child, I think, that really comes up. There's a huge connotation of the relationship that you've shared with your parents. Now, somebody has definitely taught you to suppress your feelings, or that's just the natural way you learned how to survive as a small child, because perhaps you weren't heard that much and you felt like it's better to just suppress my emotions because they probably don't matter. But the younger you kind of understood that I should suppress my emotions because nobody takes care of them. I'm too young to understand how to deal with them, but I see around me and people don't really care about emotions. So I think that this can also enable you to a part where you're negligent of other people's emotions. You probably brush it off because you gaslight yourself that manner. You also probably have a tendency to downplay other people's feelings until it hits you later on. I think that through this journey, it's really reaching at a pivotal point where your guides want you to learn how to make better judgments. They want you to start doing better for yourself. With the bear energy, I think that you've been on this spiritual journey for quite some time. I'm getting 3-4 years now. And they're kind of telling me that it's about time that you start optimizing and trusting your intuition. I think that you're somebody who also could be a little bit ungrateful for the gifts that you have, because you are quite intuitive. I see that your intuition really starts sort of like banging at your door, at your consciousness, and you shut it out because it's too much for you. And it's for you to realize that your intuition is not trying to criticize you. Your intuition is like a warning alarm in the moment. It's trying to redirect you in the right direction. It's trying to help you understand yourself better so that you don't put yourself again in dangerous situations. It's not that the universe is not going to protect you, but it's more in a way where they want you to do better now. They kind of feel like it's time that you start embodying this energy from within, and you just start doing better for yourself. It's just in a way where they don't want you to remain stuck in the same frequency. They want you to start improving and get a better life for yourself. There's something specifically about your health and routine. I'm getting a lot of sixth house. So maybe you, because when the mind is cluttered, it's an internal reality. So it would be possible that maybe your surroundings aren't that organized either. Maybe your room remains messy. Maybe your wardrobe doesn't have your clothes organized. Maybe things are lying here and there. And because you're emotionally so cluttered, it makes a lot of sense. And this is not to judge you, this is completely judgment free zone. It's just for you to understand, to notice the difference. On days when you're doing actually better, you're healing, your surroundings reflect that. But on days when you're not able to sort out your own emotions, it really reflects in the way that you're living in that surrounding. Sometimes you probably get a little lazy on, I would say, external hygiene. And I think that this also represents in the relationships that you have. Um, I could feel like when you don't know how to tackle situations, it's very natural for you to just shut down because you're so used to suppressing a lot. And I'm also hearing from spirit this can cause you to have a lot of acne, or maybe I'm getting somebody could have a scalp infection. But there's just ways when your body starts absorbing so much negativity that it starts showing up in your skin. And for some reason, I feel like you completely understand that. It's like it starts showing on your face. And you could have been someone, because of the ways that you were opting to cope up with these mechanisms, with these habits. I think that it enabled you to start looking a little bit dull on the outside. So you have to see that there's a chain of effects of just a small thing, which is ignoring your intuition. All right. So I'm gonna flip a few more cards for you. We have how teachable are you? And we have transparency. Spirit, can you please connect me with pile number one's energy? What do they need to hear? How can they forgive themselves? Seven of Pentacles. Okay, I'm gonna pull out another card later on. We have the Judgment and the Devil. Okay, wow. So I'm gonna take these two. We have Libra and Capricorn. We have Nine of Pentacles and Eight of Cups. There's a lot about, I think that you get scared when somebody says that you need to leave this particular habit or way of living. Now, if you're not somebody that has addictive patterns, it could just talk about escapism, maybe workaholism, maybe hanging out too much with friends, maybe casual sex, maybe escapism is in many forms. Maybe it's just the smallest thing of binge eating or watching too many movies on Netflix. It's just a way where you don't want to be alone. And I understand that. I've also been there. But I think a part of it really requires for you to commit and invest in yourself. So I think that this indicates that Spirit wants me to share a personal experience where I used to struggle with the specific addiction in my life. And I think that it particularly became worse when I was going through my first dark night of the soul. And that was the point where I started noticing how badly it was affecting my health. And I think that a part of it was also eradicating certain people from my life that used to feed into that addictive pattern. It became sort of a lifestyle where I would just hang out with my friends, get high, and avoid everything else that I needed to fix in my life. And it was for me to understand that this is not something that's within me, but it's a lot of bad influence around me as well. And whereas I can't do anything about them, it's like I just made the decision that I need to disconnect from those people. And I see that over here, that this is a lot about you making that judgment call for you, which is committing to yourself. In that moment, it wasn't about me losing a bunch of people, because at that point in my life, I barely had a social circle which used to exist without them getting high. So I think the answer came down to understanding that I would have to be alone for a while, I would have to struggle. But I saw that as a moment of inspiration where I just felt I just know that there was a shift within me, which was definitely divinely guided. And this probably happened, I think, 3 years back. And I think that was the time when I started developing a talent of writing. And that's how I used to channel my pain. So, whatever attachment I had to people, and all the things that I did, there was a part of me that was feeling very guilty when I came into the place of being completely sober. And there were parts of my body reacting to that withdrawal. So it's a lot about things that you just have to do for yourself. And a part of me actually didn't tell anyone that I was doing this, because I was afraid, what if I tell them and I'm not able to do it? So I was not 100% sure of myself, but I just kept it hidden because I just wanted to do for myself. I wasn't doing it for anybody else. So it really comes down to the fact that during that time, I faced a lot of difficulty in forgiving myself for how I was treating myself, because I had a lot of pent up emotions from the choices I made and the people that I chose to keep around in my life. And again, it took a lot of self forgiveness. So if that sort of example or personal experience matches, it's in a huge correlation with how we behave when we're not able to connect with our intuition. And I think How Teachable Are You is a card which really talks about um, how we self sabotage, right? In those many moments, there were times when my friends used to call me back and ask me to hang out with them, and often I offended a lot of people because they suddenly saw this change, and I would say isolation within me. And I think that after a few weeks, they kind of just forgot about me. And it was a chain of realizations for me. It's like those people weren't for my highest good. And believe you me, they were people that I grew up with for, let's just say, 12 years of my life. So, sudden harsh truths about a lot of things. But, sometimes God breaks your heart so that, you can open your eyes to certain things. And your situation might not be the same, but it's just for you to understand that sometimes we do get along with people that aren't meant for us, and we have to be transparent with ourselves about what we're doing and how we're bullshitting ourselves all the time. Like, that was the last thought I probably had, that I would be over here reading tarot cards. I had no, I would say, not an inch of spirituality in my body, but I just had to believe that it's probably leading me somewhere better, even if I'm not becoming that philosophical. So I think that a part of it is just realizing how much you're hurting yourself through the process of trying to suppress feelings, running in a rat race, It's not about you making money, it's not about you getting famous, it's not about you getting a gorgeous looking partner by your side, it's not about getting ripped in your body. It's just about how much do you love yourself. And your feelings are a big part of intuition. So I see that over here that this is a lot about investing within yourself and just understanding that this is really, really gonna serve me in the future. I shouldn't be treating myself like that. Then we have the card commitment. Oh wow, thank you, Spirit. This confirms what I said. And we have fire in reverse, confidence, optimism, passion, and bravery. So you could be a fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. So I'm seeing that over here that with commitment and the spirit bear, this can talk about two things, but mainly it talks about your commitment to self. How much do you love yourself? How much are you willing to work on the relationship that you share with yourself? Because a huge part of your relationship is the dynamic you share with your soul and therefore your intuition. And I think sometimes you come across loss of inspiration and you're not really able to feel that zest for life, or I would just say motivation to do better for yourself. And I just want to remind you through the story that I shared that there was precisely nobody who even gave a shit whether I do better or not. There was nobody, of course, apart from, like my parents. But I think there was nobody who gave a shit whether I recover from this addiction or not. So you have to kind of understand that nobody is gonna come and save you. And even your parents can do that only to a limit. Because you're an adult. I'm pretty sure you're 18 above. And you have to understand that nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's gonna push you out of bed every day. Nobody's gonna tell you to clean your room. Nobody's gonna tell you to, I don't know, take a bath every day. Nobody's gonna tell you to treat yourself better. And for sure, I'm gonna give you a harsh truth. People are attached to the person you have been. And you're gonna shock yourself and a lot of people when you're gonna improve. And it's gonna reveal a lot of people who weren't in your corner and who always underestimated you. So it's just for you to understand that nobody's gonna come and save you in this. You have to do better for yourself, and it's just for yourself. It's not to have maybe a romantic partner, it's not to settle down, it's not to make a great image, it's not to make a lot of money, it's just to be healthy and have a better relationship with yourself. And lastly, we have the card Phoenix Rising. Wow. So this is a very positive card to have in the end of your reading. I see that over here that there's a lot of things that are happening, and I think that this reading might just be a recapture of what you've been through. Maybe you've had a couple of tries at overcoming this addiction, because I also know that you tend to relapse when something really major happens or something pulls you back into that place and you just want a moment of relief. I completely understand that feeling. But I think that even if you fall 7 times, you'll get back up 8 times. It's not at all to give up. Even I had a couple of tries at it, and I think at a time I just understood that when I do this thing, it just pulls me back into a place where I'm not myself. And even at those even having several attempts at recovering from it, I kind of realized that this is my weakness. So it's better to make peace with your weaknesses and protect yourself from it rather than other people exploiting your weaknesses. I think one of the things that I really made sure is that I don't hang around the same people no matter what it makes them feel like, or anybody, because I know where it pulls me back, and then I go back, maybe let's just say 2 months on my healing journey, because I again have to get back up and get that sort of inspiration and again start all over. So it's not wrong to start all over. It's like you have to keep trying. But through that bad judgment call that you make in desperate moments is only when you realize that this is my weakness. And there is strength in understanding your weaknesses. You should know your weaknesses just as good as you know your strength. So this process is only making you stronger. And it's very natural for every human to have vices in this world, but it's also for you to understand what are your weaknesses because of the way perhaps you were brought up, or perhaps you just develop to become a person like that. It's for you to invest in yourself and be your best friend. You sometimes, when you don't have a mentor and that is majorly in your life, you have to see that you also have to be your best critique, but you also have to understand when you're underestimating yourself. If you want to work by yourself, you have to understand your own weaknesses and strength. And it's kind of factual that you will be working by yourself throughout your life, right? Nobody is going to be supervising you. So I'm going to conclude this reading. Pile number 1, this was quite deep. It pulled me back to a past timeline, but I'm going to assure you that it feels like an achievement, and it is an achievement. So it should feel like I really proved myself that I'm willing to do whatever it takes. We have destruction, productivity, and obstacle. Can we clarify the obstacle? Renewal. Wow. Fire. We have fire twice separate. I think this calls for a certain skill set. Like I told you about me developing writing skills to just cope up with that feeling. I think it also pulled me very close to music. But with destruction, I feel like it just talks about you going back to certain points where you feel like I want to do the same thing. And it's for you to realize that you, in the moment, have the choice. I repeat, you have the choice to either do the same thing or try something new. And what does it matter if you try something new and it doesn't completely turn out the way it did? You will definitely learn something from that choice. But when you make the same move, you go back to the same pattern, you know how it's going to end up. So just gather a little bit courage in those moments and try to do something, because the moment will surpass. I think if one golden lesson I could give you is that whenever I felt that trigger to go back to that place and get myself some relief, I think if I waited long enough, let's just say maybe 5 minutes, I think that feeling would surpass and it would just go away, and then I would again feel amazing that I made it through. So if that resonates, take that. You just need a few moments to let the feeling surpass, and then you can probably eat something good, have an energy drink. There's a lot of ways by which you can substitute that feeling with a healthy coping mechanism. It could also be maybe a good workout or a run. That also works for me. And with renewal and obstacle, you need to understand wherever you're facing a defeat or a wall where you're not able to move forward, it's again divine protection. Because there are certain things that are really waiting for you to come and claim them, but it's not the same person you might or might not be today. You have to become a better version of yourself to actually sustain those things that divine wants to offer you, okay? This could also relate to perhaps a commitment or a person in your mind. And I think that you are well aware of things that you need to change. So it's just a matter of fact where you realize to cut all the loose ends just to love yourself. I just hope it's very clear that you're doing this just for yourself and not for anybody. All right, pile number 1. So this was your reading. I'm gonna leave it here. I really do hope that you found a message that was helpful. If you did, please do hit the like button, subscribe for more, hit the bell icon so you know whenever I upload next. Let me know down in the comment section how they resonated, and I'm gonna see you guys in another one. Bye. Hello, pile number 2. If you chose the beautiful Opalite, this is going to be your reading. So the picture that you chose is of multiple I see personas over here in the color of chakras. There's also this big sphere around the heart chakra, which embodies the universe, is what I'm seeing. The epitome of divine feminine is what I'm seeing. Also the masculine, because the shape sort of looks like a masculine figurine. I see that over here that there's a Kundalini awakening that has been transpired within you through the course of divine intervention and actions. I see that with the blue rays behind all these sketches. I see that this is a lot about emergence of new self. You could be going through quite a significant transformation in your life, and I'm noticing the eye of Ra that is above as a watermark on the picture. That's probably going to be visible to you in the thumbnail picture. I see that over here that's a lot about divine protection, because the eye of Ra is a lot about divine protection. I feel like there was a clarity of moment in your life where you realize certain things which could have dissected. I see the dissection of these sort of like figurines, but also like there's moment of enlightenment that you came across. I see that the color that most calls me is the sea green, bluish green kind of a thing. That is the third layer on my left side. That color is a very unique green, and I see that over here it's teal. Yeah, thank you, Spirit. So the teal color, I'm gonna search the significance of teal in spirituality, but I see that over here that it's a lot about you. It's a lot about the choices that you make moving forward. It's a lot about things that you have experienced in your childhood, because now they're drawing me to the red color that's in the back. You can see how the orange and the red form a sort of burnt orange color in between. I see that this is a lot about decayed parts within you, which want to emerge and come in the form of the yellow color over here, which is giving me sun energy. I mean, the eye of Ra is very masculine sun energy. I'm facing a lot of anxiety through this reading. I'm facing a lot of anticipation of worse. I feel uneasy, and maybe your energy is quite restless these days. You're not able to sleep well. You might be facing a lot of difficulty in sleeping at night. And one of the things that I have learned through my own therapy sessions is that whenever I tell my therapist that I'm not able to sleep at night, she tells me that there's something that's really bothering you. There's something that your body is telling you that it's not comfortable. It's just not to be. It's just not feeling at ease, and your energy is quite prominently like that. I think that this is also an indication that if you require somebody to help you, this is a motivational, I would say, word or encouragement word, that you should seek for help, whether it means having a therapist, whether it means just having certain guidance to actually help yourself through this difficult time, because there's a lot of erosion that I see, a lot of roaring emotions that are coming from your childhood that are probably making you a little sick. And I think that this is because the nervous system has been sort of like pinched. It's like it's been pinched in the area where it needs to be, and now it's requiring for you to release. I feel like somebody over here could be quite anxious. Even if that's not you in the moment, I think that you face this difficulty quite a lot, and it could be coming from the pain that's stored in your heart chakra. I think something has really poked you in the right place where you can actually experience these emotions and let them out. I kind of feel like you go numb sometimes because these feelings are so strong, and the more that we suppress emotions, or perhaps I wouldn't say that it was your fault, you didn't know how to I would say understand or process certain feelings. You could have also witnessed or been through physical abuse. feel like my heart goes out for you, pile number two, because I think that there's certain things, even if it's not physical abuse, there's a lot of emotional intensity that I feel over here, where you're wanting to forgive yourself, or your body or your soul is just screaming that please accept me, even if it's difficult right now, please accept me. I'm getting emotional because I think that this is your energy where it's like your inner child felt really, I would say, boycotted in a way because of how emotional you were as a child, and perhaps still are right now. There's nothing wrong with it. But I think I keep hearing from your inner child that it needs your help. And I think a part of this healing process revolves around accepting yourself exactly how you are in the moment, not criticizing yourself. Oh my God, why can't I sleep? Why can't I do things properly? Why can't I make proper decisions for myself? It's a lot about unveiling things and these ugly thoughts that you have about yourself just because you're having a difficult time. And I think this calls for a lot of self-compassion where you don't criticize yourself for not being able to do your daily chores as well. I think this really comes down to the fact that right now you require time to heal, and sometimes you just don't want to because it's so painful. I think it's about your heart just really wanting to make itself known that, see, I have pain, but please don't abandon me like my parents abandoned me in the past or when I was really small. So we're going to open your cards before I say something else. So we have Gemini and telepathy of Terra Mater. 36 reduces to 9. I feel like pile number two, you are usually a very centered and balanced person. And this happens to the best of us, right? Sometimes we just aren't balanced, and it's important for us to learn through life. I think that you need somebody to talk to. I think you feel like you're going to be a burden if you talk to somebody about these feelings. And I think that's where Spirit indicated me to let you know that however you seem other people, they're also struggling with something in their life. Hey, just because you're listening to tarot readers and they're able to help you just like myself, that doesn't mean we also need help like other people. You and I, we're not perfect, right? And I think a part of me joining therapy was so that I don't feel like I'm carrying the burden by myself. I think the main motive was to help or take help, because I always used to feel like this is something, because I'm spiritual, I'm connected to my guides, I have a strong intuition, I don't need help, I can still make it by myself. But there came a point where I got tired of um, just doing this by myself. I used to feel really drained. I used to feel like I need somebody to help me, but more importantly, somebody who is good at what they do. Basically to say somebody that is professional at this, right? That's why I approached a therapist. And I started seeing that it didn't take away from my self-awareness or the way I deal with things. It just created a very solid support system for myself where it's a safe place, where I feel like it's just about me. It's just about me. I don't have to talk to somebody and let them know how I feel. In return, they can do the same thing for me. I really needed somebody who just makes it about me and how I feel and how much my feelings matter. And that's what happens in therapy, right? Um, so I see that over here, that if that's something that you really need, you should consider that. Otherwise, it's about talking to your friends, it's about just letting the people around you know this. And if you don't have that emotional support right now, it's about creating that. It's about finding like minded people that help you get through this. You don't need more people adding burden to you or in your life at this point of time. Pile number two, I think that maybe you have spoken to people with the Gemini. I feel like you've spoken to maybe people that aren't as emotionally tapped in as you. Maybe you feel like your friends don't understand you, and it doesn't mean that you have to cut them off or stop talking to them. It just means that every person has a different purpose in your life. And that's a really beautiful thing. Every person offers a different value in your life. And making that support system where somebody is on your wavelength who understands what you actually need in the moment. Maybe you just need somebody to listen to you, and it could be in a friend, in a sibling, in a parent. It could even be in a stranger. It could be online. It could be just anywhere where you can just share your emotions and trust that the universe will send help. It's just about you not believing that I just need to do this by myself. You don't have to do this by yourself. And through personal experience, I think that my life started changing when I started developing this interdependence with everyone. I think because of my trauma, I never really believed that people can help me, and maybe my emotions are just not that important. But the more that I started reaching out for help and letting people see exactly what I'm struggling with, I was kind of surprised with how well other people can also understand things, because they have experiences perhaps in the same place or in different places in life, which actually helped me and opened my mind. I think sometimes when we're going through these transformations, it's completely normal. Don't feel judged by it. But we tend to become self absorbed and we feel like, why me? Why am I the only one struggling? But I want to kind of break it to you, even if you know this, that people are hiding a lot of things that they're going through. And with the Terra of telepathy of Terra, I think that this is a lot about something that unexpectedly really hit you in the face. And it really opened a Pandora's box of a lot of emotions that were waiting to be unveiled or just gush out. Getting the image of a volcano, I think something really triggered you. Maybe a person avoided you or sort of abandoned you, and you felt really alone with yourself. This could be a moment where it's like people are around you, but you just feel alone in your own company. And this could be a moment where you felt like, why am I feeling this loneliness? Physically, people are around me, but internally, I feel hollow. And this could be a pattern that comes from maybe using other people or things as a distraction for yourself. I think that this is coming down to the fact that you, with the Gemini, could have a very pulsating seventh chakra, crown chakra. I think that something about it is, oh wow, in the picture we don't have actually a seventh chakra. So that's interesting. I think that right now, maybe you're really trying to work with your intuition, but it's getting eroded by the emotions because there's a lot of triggering happening right now. And I think that this is also coming from a past place where you are reevaluating how you had been living, and you're kind of feeling all those emotions where it's making you feel like what I've been through was completely unfair. Maybe you're really angry at certain people for the way you've been hurt. It could be towards your parents. And maybe this is causing a little bit of friction at home or maybe with your parents. And I think as much as you might be bursting out onto them, even in unexpected ways, or you're just shutting out people, I think that this is to just be calm with yourself. I think a part of forgiveness is where you start forgiving yourself. And I think pile number two, you are very, very smart. You are somebody who understands that to forgive other people, I have to first forgive myself for the places I have been. And even as a child, when you didn't know any better, like you do right now, it's just for you to understand that even that child needs forgiveness. I think that maybe the adult you is struggling to forgive the younger you, because now you're seeing how harshly you have been treated and have been also treating yourself. So it's a moment of clarity where you're seeing that I deserve so much more better, but why do I keep doing this? Because the harsh truth of it is that right now you need to face yourself. Maybe you're really not able to sleep at night. Maybe your sleep cycle has been messed up. And it's because the mind keeps thinking about things that have been done wrong. And the body's like, please let me just feel this pain. Please let me just feel this. And there's power in suffering, but oftentimes we don't want to suffer, right? And I completely understand that. There are moments when even I don't want to face certain emotions, but it's like I just know that I need to listen to myself. If I won't listen to myself, who's gonna listen to me? So that's the first move of taking care of yourself. It's not doing the same thing that you've been taught. And I understand that this is a survival mode, but it's a lot about understanding that you need that love from yourself. If you need to reach out for help, it's okay to do that. So, few more cards that we have are forgiveness. Wow. So for forgiveness reading, we have forgiveness. We have yin in reverse. And we have cycles. So you could be going through a phase of wrapping up old trauma. And it's important to heal that trauma, right? To wrap it up. I think with the yin card, it's a lot about maybe you know that you need to take a new direction in life. You need to make better choices. And a part of yin being in reverse is lack of trust in the universe. Right now, things seem bleak because your emotions are clouding your judgment. You're trying to meditate, perhaps you're not able to connect with your spirit so well. And I think that there's a lot of things that are coming up. It's maybe related to body image. It's maybe the way you look at yourself in the mirror, and sometimes you're being a little harsh that I'm not pretty, I'm not good looking enough, I wouldn't be attractive. And I think that whatever has happened has triggered this self-worth wound, which is making you feel like, why wasn't I worth sticking around? Why wasn't I worth fighting for? What's wrong with me, or what's less in me? And there's nothing that's less in you. I think that you're amazing, you're completely unique, but you have to see that it's the way that you're perceiving yourself. Nobody has the ability to make you feel less than, because just because they didn't know how to treat you properly. Don't take that personally. It's just triggered this really core wound which makes you feel inadequate and unworthy of love. And I think why this brings us back to your childhood is because you were made felt like you're not important enough. And I think that there's a sublime way that you treat yourself right now also that exists in your subconscious. Like maybe this is not that important. Maybe you'll just surpass. Maybe I'll just ignore it. But it's not gonna go away if you keep ignoring it, right? And I think maybe you've done that. And the past reevaluation comes around in the fact where you're realizing that I am not insignificant, but I need to start treating myself like I am very significant. And I see that with the forgiveness card, that this comes down to maybe a lot of suppression. Forgiveness is a card which talks about perhaps blocked emotions, where it's like you're not wanting to face these emotions, which you're the way that you're not dealing with them, perhaps, or you didn't deal with them. Okay, there's a connotation of past, present, and future, so see how it goes. But I think I'm going to speak about it in present tense. I think that over here, that even if in the moment you're not able to deal with them, it's creating a block of flow. Like when you're not able to connect with your emotions, and I think you understand that your intuition is heavily backed up by emotions and bodily expressions. Even in discomfort, your body is showing you that you need to take care of it and pay more attention to it. And I think that the more that you resist it, the more that you're not able to follow your intuition, because your intuition is again linked to your emotions, right? So this blockage of flow of energy, or perhaps I'd say emotions and energy are the same thing, is creating this place of past aggression within you, where it's like maybe you burst out. That could probably be the reason, and you need to let these things come out, whether it means telling people who did you wrong what they did, getting yourself that closure, or maybe just bringing that power back to you and actually saying things that you want to say, not in an aggressive manner, but trying to have that conversation however you feel. I feel like saying this, pile number two, that your aggression is also valid. Anger is a very important and powerful emotion. Sometimes it can get to us, but most of the time it tells us that something feels wrong over here. How somebody treated me was wrong and I did not deserve that. But how it really comes down to the fact that how we process our emotions, right? So it's a lot about how well you can master yourself right now, how well you can learn from perhaps other people, how they deal with painful feelings. And oftentimes underneath a lot of anger we have pain that we're not able to process. So maybe you need help with processing that pain, because it's everybody's first time in life for something, right? You've probably never been through something this difficult or tedious for you to understand about yourself. And I'm sure that you're a very confident in a person full of caliber, but sometimes we need help from other people. And I think forgiveness would come from this place where it's a lot about just being nicer to yourself. I think that this can sound like a difficult job, but it's actually practiced and implemented in the most difficult times of your life, especially right now, that what you're going through, it would require for you to pay more attention to yourself. Somebody over here could nail bite or like play with their hands a lot, because that's the first bodily sensory emotion that shows you you're uneasy. There's a lot of air of restlessness in this pile. And I see that with the Gemini, you could be facing a lot of lack of focus because you're so preoccupied. It's like you don't have space to be content and do your daily chores or whatever you like to do. And it's okay to go off track for a bit. It's okay to just put a pause at the world, because that amount of time is going to pull you perhaps 5 years ahead in life if you just know yourself. That's the most important accessory in life, is to know yourself and know what you're doing with yourself. I'm just going to pull out a few tarot cards. Angel guides, spirits, please help me connect with pile number two's energy. What do they need to understand about this phase? We have the High Priestess in reverse. We have the Ten of Cups in reverse, bottom of the deck. We have the Queen of Cups. Bottom of the deck, I'm seeing the Page of Swords and Three of Cups. I'm hearing reunion with self. I definitely feel like maybe you've been stuck on a person, you're unable to move on. It could be the thing. And this person has majorly triggered you in some way, where it makes you feel like I've been abandoned. And in hindsight, this person just did the best thing you could actually receive. And I know that might be like, what the hell is she saying? I'm hurting right now. But I think that this is going to make you so emotionally intelligent, capable, content, and happy, that when you're going to come out of it, you're actually going to have gratitude for the struggles in your life. especially for this lesson. Because this person actually gave you a gift of life. They actually pushed you to become better. It just depends upon how you utilize this situation, how much you just pull back your energy from perhaps stalking them, looking within yourself, unveiling all these emotions that come from maybe a broken home. And I think that when we think about a broken home, we start feeling sorry for ourselves. But you don't have to feel sorry for yourself. I mean, in a nutshell, I do get the spiritual aspect of we having soul contracts. But it's also that with the soul contract, there comes an assurity that you can overcome this. This is not something that is exercised out of your will, out of your control. It's something that your soul knows that you will go through this and you will heal through this, definitely. So with the High Priestess in reverse, Piscean energy, we have cups, all about emotion. It's a lot about you just looking at yourself and being like, what is this situation teaching me? This situation is teaching me how to be nicer to myself. It's just plain simple nice. So that I start loving myself, so that I don't put anybody before me, so that I listen to myself. And it's not just about your intuition. It's just about the way your emotions speak to you. It's not about putting a brave face and going out there and looking like, hey, my life is perfect. It's about, hey, my life is real. And I'm gonna get through this shit like a warrior. So this is a lot about you just moving forward and understanding that things happened, all right? You know what? It's not that I was a victim of it. I was a conqueror of that situation. I think that you need to start speaking in a more empowered manner to yourself. And I feel like if you face a lot of body image issues, I need to tell you that you're very beautiful. See, you need to realize that God took out special time to make you, and He understood what value you would bring to this world. So don't doubt His creation. You're gonna doubt His powers. You're perfect exactly how you are, and you just need to believe in yourself that He created you for a reason. He saw the need of a pile number 2 in this world. So just embrace however you are. And I just need to tell you that angels are watching you. God divine is watching you, and He knows that you would go through this, and He is with you at every step of the way. Even if you don't feel like talking to anyone about this, you can just talk to Him. But you need to listen to what He's saying. And you need to understand that it's equally important to treat your body like that as well, right? So the last cards that we have are 7th chakra, wow, thank you Spirit, and self-love. All right, thank you Spirit so much. So my guides are saying that pile number 2 is beautiful. Tell them that they're very beautiful. I love them. They're nature's creation. They just keep telling me that the God who created these beautiful sunset, mountains, trees, oceans, the same God thought that this world needs pile number 2 as well. You need to start appreciating yourself. You need to start understanding that you are valuable. No motherfucker on this earth has the power to make you feel like you're not needed on the face of earth, okay? Nobody has the power to make you feel like that unless you let yourself feel like that. Self-worth there's a reason why self-worth begins with self. It means that you define your worth. So however you tell yourself is however you're going to feel about yourself. And I just want to bring this about to you, that you need to forgive yourself for the way you talk to yourself and look at yourself. You need to start being like, when I've been rough to myself, and when I finally start loving myself back again, or I do something that's really good, or I'm just proud of myself, like I would definitely give myself a hug. I would pack my own back. I would just kiss my own hands. it's in a way where you love yourself and you show your body also that appreciation. It's in a way where you start loving yourself and you're just like, I'm so proud of you because I know that you put in a lot of hard work. And I believe that you're also putting in a lot of hard work, even if you're slugging yourself through the way. You're gonna reinvent yourself through this phase. All right, pile number 2. So just keep on believing in yourself and don't forget to thank your body for everything that it does for you, for everything that it supplies you through, for everything that it favors you through, for the heavy emotions that it's been carrying for you and still getting you through life and making you successful. Okay, success is not in the amount of money that you make, it's in the amount of quality of life that you have that actually makes you happy. So this is also going to be a part where you're going to look behind and be like, damn, I really made it through, right? So before we conclude pile number 2, I am going to conclude this reading with a few advice cards for you. Your guides are just like, please tell pile number 2, they're so beautiful. I'm hearing my favorite child. The universe loves you so very much. Patience and renewal. This was also in pile number 1. I feel like specifically if you struggle with some sort of coping mechanism, codependency or addiction, you might want to watch pile number 1. And we have abundance and productivity. Definitely you might want to watch pile number 1 or even just the end of it. So we have patience and renewal. I think that this is definitely in correlation with the yin energy and the cycle, that you're completing a karmic cycle over here. It's not a bad thing to say karmic, it just means that, woohoo, I'm getting through another lesson, like a badge of honor. So just need to be patient with yourself. Give yourself time to rejuvenate through this process. You know, when we see a lizard and you cut off its tail, the lizard doesn't sit and cry like, oh my god, you took my tail, what am I gonna do without it? The lizard's like, okay, I'm gonna grow back another. So you have to kind of see the beauty of the nature that God has created and you're part of it. Don't forget that. You're also going to rebuild yourself. You're also going to become a new person. You're going to become stronger. You can always work on yourself and change what you don't like about yourself. But it's also a part of acceptance where you accept yourself for exactly who you are. All right, pile number 2. So I give you lots of love and good luck on this journey. So I'm going to leave this here. I really do hope that you found a message that was helpful. If you did, please do hit the like button, subscribe for more, hit the bell icon so you know whenever I upload next. Let me know down in the comment section how that resonated, and I'm going to see you guys in another one. Bye. Hello, pile number 3. If you chose this tree agate, this is going to be your reading. So the picture that you chose, I have to mention that your energy is very light-hearted, very fun. I think you have a really great sense of humor. So I see that over here, that the picture that you chose looks very cerebral. A lot about maybe subconscious patterns. Perhaps certain things our brain gets auto-wired to behave, like autopilot. We do certain things and then we realize, oh, that was not a good choice. So I see that over here there are so many colors. This was by far the most interesting picture out of all 3. And I see that it's because it's very different. I've never used something like that. That's very like, I wouldn't say it's abstract, but definitely geometrical, but also like cellular type. It's got this depiction of cells, like very cerebral picture. You might be an air sign, Libra, Aquarius, Gemini. But I see that over here that your forgiveness process is a lot about perhaps things that you have done, that you have been doing for a long time, and perhaps I would say maybe notions that you feed within your brain or enable yourself to keep feeling that lead you up to the same choices. And I see that this reading is a lot about the color that really calls me is pink, which is the epitome of self love, and the orange one, which is the most brightest, which is sacral, which is a lot about free self expression. Now, I think growing up, you were really diminished as a person, as a divine being. You were just told to be normal, be boring, be basic. And I think that you're a very fun person because I love your energies. I think all bios were great, but your energy is light-hearted. I definitely think that you have a great sense of humor. You also might be one of those people like me who use like I would say sarcasm to uncover really difficult situations. Like you joke about it. So I think you have a sense of humor, definitely. I see that before I was transitioning, just began off with your reading from pile number 2 to 3. It's almost like I was just sort of like having a banter with myself, and I just used a few swearing words, and I just heard my spirit guys be like, stop it. Like, I swear to God, I felt like they pinched me because I think that they've been trying to help me overcome. Not in a way where I just become like hoity toity elegant or something, but they've been trying to sort of like cleanse my body, mind, and spirit. So I think this could also be about your communication pattern. Maybe you have a little bit of aggression within you, and maybe it comes from misdirected anger where you burst out onto people. I think that your throat chakra is very strong. You have a bold voice, you have points to make. You might be very good at debating, and I think that this really comes down to the fact is how you process things down. You're definitely an influential personality. It doesn't have to be that you purposely have a platform to define that influence. It just means that you have impact around the people that you come across and people that come across you. And I think that everything is very divinely guided right now because I swear to God, spirit, I think, really pinched me when I swore. But they're kind of laughing about it. They're like, we all do this in goodwill, and we just want you to do better. So I think these are maybe processes in the way that you have learned to. You've become accustomed to these ways of speaking to maybe other people when you're hurt or self-depreciating. Mainly I feel an energy of self-depreciation where it's like when we're rough with ourselves, we're rough to other people. So sometimes when you become less kinder to yourself, you tend to become aggressive with other people because you're not feeling so nice about yourself, and that happens to the best of us, right? You definitely might like to hear a lot of like hip hop, R&B, because there are certain songs playing in the back of my head right now. And I think that you have a special connection with music because, again, with the cerebral energy, the cell type of image, it really gives me that, music can reach parts of our brain that even words can't. And I think this is very signatory of the fact that they're encouraging you to inculcate better ways of calming yourself and taking out moments for yourself, because I think you could be someone who requires time to understand yourself. And I think maybe you've had people who have been anxious around you who require immediate responses because they're not able to take care of themselves, and this is completely non-judgmental. This is a judgment-free zone for you, me, and other people as well. And I think that this is precisely your energy, that you're a very kind person is what I feel. You're a good hearted person, but sometimes life just gets the best of you. And I think at this point, at this journey of self mastery, it's a lot about repairing those cognitive patterns in which ways you have been taught that it's okay to maybe take out your anger on other people. One of the most shittiest saying that I've heard around my neighborhood is that we take out the most anger on the people that we love. But why is that okay? Why is it okay to mistreat people that we love the most? And it's almost broken down into the part where we probably learn from our parents or people that are elder to us that we can be messy, and we can be messy around the people that we're close to, but we're not allowed to hurt them. That's not the right thing to do. Just because they love you, you shouldn't take advantage of the love that they give you, right? So I think that maybe this message was for someone where you take a little bit of leniency in the way that you treat other people, and I think that you have a guilty conscious, where later on it makes you feel bad about yourself. And I think maybe a part of it would be owning up to yourself and to them and being like, I'm sorry. Because sometimes, oh wow, we're seeing 444 right now on my clock. So definitely a confirmation for this pile that sometimes you take a little bit of leniency in the way that you allow yourself to mistreat other people because you feel like you're not treating yourself that well. So I wouldn't say that you're a person who thinks if I'm miserable, other people should be miserable. But I think you've learned this where you need to realize or understand and break it down to yourself. Where did you learn this and who taught you that it's okay? Because I think that you understand that the best part, or I would say the toughest part, or the most enlightening part of self love is calling yourself out on your own bullshit, right? And I think that over here, I see that you're somebody who gets into this whirlpool of your own emotions and you start spitting that anger out quite a lot. And I really, really believe that you're someone who sees the fault in your behavior, but it's just been a way of communication that has been okay, maybe in your household or in your relationships, that it's okay to sort of like, you know, be mean to people when you're feeling mean about yourself, right? So I'm gonna flip your cards now. So we have Libra. Oh wow, I'm a Libra. Shout out to my Libras. And we have the Vara Patra 3811. So we have Venusian energy over here. Balance, fairness, consideration, and harmony. There's no doubt that you're someone who is accelerating in your life, and sometimes maybe it makes you a little bit prideful that, see, I've achieved so much on my own, I've been through shit, but I bounce back harder than ever. And I think that this pile requires a little bit of tough love. You know what? I think that you're one of the most um how do I place this? You're quite enlightened, pile number 3. And I think that your guides are like, give it to them, give it to them, give it to them. They're like, pile number 3 can take it. Pile number 3 knows how to take criticism. Sometimes they shy away from it, but they're also their worst critique. So maybe you feel a little bit defeated when somebody or you yourself see the flaws in your own way. But I think that you're wiser than that. You understand that it's time to improvise on maybe these little things which can seemingly be a little bit more difficult than the bigger hurdles you have crossed. But nevertheless, it doesn't remove the importance of working on ourselves, right? I think at this point it's a lot about maybe the pride that you've developed. And I think that this comes from a place where you have felt this accomplishment, that I think you have a past of being alone, of doing things by yourself, and it's made you a little bit cold towards your approach towards other people. Because maybe at some point you felt like, and I'm not saying that you're not kind, I'm just saying that there's always dimensions to our past, and sometimes the side takes over, right? So I feel like these concepts are very familiar to you, and I think sometimes the leverage that you take of being at a superior place in your life, even if you feel like that or not, I think that you are somebody that's quite accelerated in your journey. If you chose this pile, you're high vibrational, okay? And I see that over here that your prayers are being answered, even if they're not. You're in a physical manifestation, you know they're on the way because you've been putting in that work. And I think for those times when you were alone, you went through all those spiritual awakenings alone. You could have also had some serious depression at some point in your life. And I think that this made you a little bit cold, like, nobody was there for me. But I think that your path is very different. You're meant to teach people. And I don't mean this in just, yeah, you're supposed to be a leader. I'm saying you're meant to be a spiritual teacher. And a teacher cannot teach without love. A teacher is not supposed to be critical and stoic and be like a military corporal, right? A teacher teaches through love, just like God teaches us through love, right? Even if it's hurtful, even when God shows us what we've done, but God still saves us from our mistakes. God never takes away that love, right? And I think that this is a lot about the God within you. This is not at all to make you feel superior about you, okay? Because I think that you take sometimes these things very in a boastful manner. I think this is a time to ground yourself and humble yourself. And I think forgiveness comes from a place where all the time people have been, all those times when people have been cold to you when you were in need, and you know that you have something to share with this world. You have wisdom that will be like jewels of wisdom for other people. But I think this is a lot about also understanding that there's cohesiveness. Your purpose is also in cohesiveness and building other people rather than perhaps tearing them down in moments of uneasiness, right? And I think that this reading can come across a little bit harsh because I'm just trying to be real with the energy that I get. I feel like you're accomplished, but sometimes this energy gets to your head. And I think that this is something that you have learned. I'm not saying that you do this purposely, but it is a survival tactic that you follow so that maybe pile number three, you feel like if I let somebody get too close or if I show my weaknesses, somebody will take this abundance that I've built for myself. And I think that pride comes from this place where you're fearful that I came from such a lack consciousness that now they might just take that away from me. So I think this is all about understanding that that is for you. Nobody's taking that away. But it's also to understand the law of karma in life, that maybe you have been harsh with certain people. Maybe you've been the harshest to the people that have been close to you. And a part of it would also be that maybe you feel like you don't deserve love. Maybe you push it away. Maybe you become mean to people because you feel like you're just meant to tread through life alone. And that could be a deeper part of that pain that makes you a little cold, that makes you brush off other people. I don't think you're insensitive. I don't think that you have a low emotional intelligence. I just think that you're fearful of losing what you've made for yourself and made of yourself, that you're scared somebody's going to pull you back to that low vibrational place. Somebody's going to throw you down a few steps on the ladder and you're gonna have to do everything by yourself. And I think you don't want to go back to that place. So I think that because of this fear, it makes you act out in certain ways, which is later on what you regret. That why did I do that? I think that this calls for a little bit more faith within your abundance, your divine plan, and your own self, that you will not let that happen. But if you let this pride get to you, or maybe you have in the past, I'm getting more of like future tense. I think that this could be where the universe is trying to give you a little bit guidance, that tame your egoic self a little bit. Okay, don't let the demons of past get the best of you in the present and perhaps in the future. Okay, so I see that over here with Libra, maybe because this is a new sense of self that you're becoming accustomed to. It might have been recently that you're becoming stable again. I think that this is about maybe a flimsy self sense. Like you feel like maybe I can't still go back to that place and I don't want anyone to push me there. I think this is making you a little prone to being antisocial or just pushing people away because you're scared to emerge back as yourself. I think you recently learned how to define your own boundaries, and I think you're still a little bit scared to exert those boundaries with kindness. There's a part of you which, with the cerebral energy, I get that your subconscious still perceives vulnerability or kindness to be weakness. And I completely understand because there's a huge connotation of this being a very hard childhood. somewhere where you have experienced maybe physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, sort of like abuse, where you were ripped off your spirituality, you were ripped off mental peace of mind, you were ripped off emotional happiness, and maybe you were bullied physically as well. And I think that this all trauma has made you quite defensive, on the edge. And I think that this calls for a little bit forgiveness, or I would say perhaps a lot of forgiveness for self when you weren't able to protect yourself. I think this just comes from a place where you have healed majorly. I think by number three, you have healed quite a lot. But I think there's just that tiny little voice that says, what if somebody pushes you back into that place where you can't do something about your situation? And I think that this comes hand in hand with the place where you defend yourself so much that it oversteps other people's boundaries. I think that this would take you a lot of practice to inculcate this sense of self where you are able to exert your boundaries politely without being aggressive. And maybe it comes down to your parents. Maybe it just comes down to parents who have probably not healed the same way. But I remember how I said that, you are very impactful in other people's lives, and you would have seen as a spiritual being, you have shaped your parents' lives as well to an extent. There was a reason why the universe chose you to take birth to specific parents. And I think that this really talks about maybe you can be an example for your parents, and you have already done that, is what I believe. But it would be more that maybe you can teach them how to exercise this a little bit more. And it would take time where you teach that to yourself. It would be in crucial moments or sort of pivotal points of triggers when you can choose. I repeat, you can choose whether you want to behave properly, whether you want to be more polite, whether you want to be nicer to them, or whether you want to be the same person. Because I think there's a little bit of leniency with self-discipline over here. And I think that it's a possibility that maybe you're taking away from this as criticism. But I think that I'm hearing that God gives tough love to the most closest ones to Him. And this is what Spirit is doing. Spirit really cares about you, and they don't want you to stumble on your own face. So they're kind of like saying, like, hey, I think it's time that you heal this part of you which becomes super defensive and sort of starts like roaring at other people. I think that your voice is very powerful, pile number three. I don't know the way you talk, I don't know the way you make very valuable points. I don't know, it's just the way that you hold yourself. I don't know if you have credentials because of how much you've overcome. The weight of your voice has a lot of wisdom. I just think it needs a little bit alteration in the way that you speak to other people, and maybe you have been mean to other people in the past. Just start of protecting yourself. But I think that this would count for maybe perhaps like repairing your relationship with yourself. And I feel like if you're that mean with other people, which tends to happen sometimes, I think you're very mean to yourself. I think you're really hard on yourself. I think you understand that in life you have to earn a lot of things, but I think you push yourself too hard sometimes, that I have to keep working for myself because nobody else is going to give me that, which is commendable, which is the truth of life as well. But I think that you tend to become hard on other people because you're so hard on yourself. Maybe when you're not able to complete a chore, maybe you're not able to balance things out. I think you do a lot of things, or maybe you're balancing a couple of things at this point in your life, and it tends to make you a little bit wobbly within self because you're also still figuring out yourself. I think you're coming out of a phase of transformation, and you're finally regaining your sense of self, and you're kind of like still balancing like a toddler, in this new version of yourself. And I think it keeps you on defense because you're trying to protect yourself so that you don't go back to that place which was dark for you. So we're gonna get a few more cards. We have Pride, that confirms. Thank you, Spirit. We have Taurus in reverse. I'm sorry for the background noise. And we have balance. Wow, we have balance twice with Libra and balance. And we also have home. So I see that with pride over here. I think it just comes down to the fact that you're hiding, that you still feel a little bit insecure about what you've built for yourself. You feel like if there's one sort of kick on the road, you can't fall down to the same person you used to be. And I think with the Taurus, so we have Taurus and Libra, so that could be you. And I feel like with this, we have the planet of Venus, which talks a lot about um, I would say in this scenario with the Taurus in reverse, it's showing me a lot about the way you perceive yourself. Sometimes you become impatient with yourself, right? I think that you definitely have a very great sense of self, but also the shadow side is still struggling a little bit to make peace with. You tend to become a little bit stubborn when it's about making your point. And I think that this could have happened in the past where it's just sometimes like my way or the highway, because I really don't want to be pulled down to the place where I was before. I think that this moment would call for forgiveness for self where you have been harsh to yourself, because I think that the initial point of healing yourself and forgiving yourself for the way you have been behaving with yourself would be to forgive yourself for this, would be to practice in tougher moments that no, I deserve to be nicer to myself. The more nicer you'll get with yourself, the more you understand that you can make it through. I think that this will help you be nicer to yourself instead of feeling fearful that, oh my god, if I don't do this, then that's gonna happen, then that's gonna happen, then this is what my parent is gonna say, and this is what my partner is gonna say, and that's gonna happen, then my friends are not gonna talk to me, and that's gonna happen, I'm gonna be boycotted. I think that it really brings you back to that place of isolation where you feel like I just can't be there, I have to stay at the top of my game, and no matter who it hurts, I have to ride solo. I think it makes you a little bit isolated. I think you might have chosen to be alone for a while. Maybe you don't have a person, doesn't have to be, but maybe you avoid building relationships with people because you want to remain focused. And I think that part of it comes from a place of too much worry about what will happen in the future. And I think it's a beautiful concept of death and rebirth that Spirit is giving me. That if you keep considering about the painful things, per se, like death, I think you miss out the moments that you can have in your life in the present moment, right? If we keep worrying about death and the end of our maybe career, lifestyle, and everything, we forget to enjoy the moments in the present. So it's maybe to a little bit stop self-sabotaging in this manner. Stop pushing people away. Stop hurting people because you're hurting inside. Start asking for help. I think you face difficulty in asking for help because you're such an independent person. I think sometimes it works at your own detriment. So with the Taurus energy, I think definitely sometimes you don't have trust in how divine is going to get you through. But the main card that we have is Dvara Patra, is a lot about your answers are coming, your prayers are being answered, your blessings are being offered to you. Your heart is closed off to receiving, though, pile number 3. You need to open yourself because any sort of like blocked energy is just going to limit the flow of life. It's receiving and giving, right? It's like your body is a vessel through which energies flow. And if you just block it, you push people away, you become fearful, you don't let other people in, you don't ask for help, you don't let your fears come out, you don't appreciate yourself. There's so much blockage, right? It's all about don't. So I think that this reading is coming to a place of more compassion where Spirit is laying it out on the table that the only reason why you tend to become a little bit harsh is because you're harsh with yourself. And you have to forgive yourself for being so harsh on yourself, harsh with yourself. You've achieved so much. I think you have nothing to be scared of, just how much more you're going to achieve. And I think with the balance card, it can be a lot about letting the old collapse so that the new can emerge over here. Letting things that don't want to stick around go away. It's not about maybe what you've accomplished right now. You've put in work, maybe let's say 7 months, and now the universe is kind of indicating, let it go, let it go. And you're like, no, I've put in too much work into this. How can I just let it go? But the universe is like, I'm gonna give you something better, something that's gonna come around that will be better for you. But you're like, no, I've put in too much work into this. But that's the same thing that's happening with the version of you right now. Like when the universe put you in that dark place, it's everything was probably breaking down within you. All concepts, cognitive patterns, emotions, anxiety, panic attacks, like a huge upheaval and release of emotions and patterns. And I think that right now they're trying to do the same. So it's only going to get better from here, just like it always has been for you. You have to develop a more deeper sense of trust within self. It's not about you have to sit and meditate, if that helps you do that, but it's about cognitive preparation. You have to repair the way you think and perceive the world to be and yourself. You have to trust yourself that if anything takes you perhaps even 2 steps backward, you can come 1 step ahead, and that will be a better version of yourself. And that is better than 2 steps forward in a direction that's not meant to be yours, right? I think the more that you let universe do what it wants to do with your life, just like it has been, and I know you trust the divine plan, but I think at this point, maybe you're going through a little bit of elasticity of your faith, is what I really see over here, pile number 3. And with the home card with Libra and balance next to it, I think that this talks about perhaps maybe a dynamic you've shared with yourself or a dynamic with a past person. I'm getting a little bit of relationship connotation. Maybe there was somebody who really broke your heart, or you invested a lot and it didn't work out the way you wanted it to. And you feel like maybe I should have invested that time within myself, and it's made you a little selfish of your energy. So right now, if somebody tries to spend time with you, even if it's your sibling, your family, or your friends, you're very selfish with your time because you feel like investing in relationships is tedious. I don't get the same love back or the effort back. And I think this comes from a broken sense of pride, or you've become stubborn. And I think that there's healing to do in that area where you believe that it was all for your highest good. The flame is really flickering right now. So this is definitely about a person that could have hurt you, a person who didn't return your efforts or your love. And I think that it really made you feel like it's not worth investing in relationships. I should just focus upon building myself. So I think with the home card, it's a lot about the universe telling you that we're just breaking the old foundation. We're developing a sense of standard and I would say self-worth within you with the Venusian energy that I was picking up. I think that they're just trying to reinvent you again. And I think that maybe you've gotten a little tired of constant change. But I really believe that the moment things would simmer down, you would have actually built a great life for yourself and with somebody, is what I feel. So it's not about here to determine whether that person was right or wrong, or whether that person was not for you or was for you. It's about you to realize, is this version of me for me? Because I think you realize a lot of things, and I really hope that you take something positive from this reading and not criticism. This is completely judgment free, so that's why I feel like I can share these opinions with you, which will 100% help you improve yourself. And I think that this pride comes from a place where you should let other people be around you, even if you don't want to invest so much right now. Open yourself to receive attention from other people. Open yourself to receive support from other people. Open yourself to receive that love. I think when you stopped yourself from putting in that effort, you also blocked yourself off from receiving that love from even your friends. So just allow yourself to have more emotional compatibility in your life. I think you're maybe For a time frame, it was important for you to focus on yourself. But don't forget to live in the present moment. Pile number three, maybe you're too scared about the past repeating itself because maybe you made some poor choices, but it's for you to understand that you're not the same person. You're very sensible. And through the experiences that you've had, they're like badges of honor. You've extracted the lessons from those memories. Now it's time to let go of those memories and understand how to implement those lessons in a wiser way, because I know you can do this. I know you're better than this, and I know I don't need to explain you how to do that because you know how to do things in your own way. But a part of way would also not to lead with abuse of power because of what you have dealt with. Okay, it's about repairing yourself and coming back to a place of kindness with self, and everybody else comes secondary, definitely. But the more that you start treating yourself kindly, it'll help you treat others kindly, and more importantly, you can start receiving love, and it'll open the flow of giving love as well. Okay, love is not just always romantic, love is everywhere. It could just be spending some time with your pet, it could just be watching a movie with your brother or sister or your friend. You know, it's just about still enjoying moments of life and not being on a rat race that I have to keep achieving because nobody else is going to give me that. The universe is going to give you that. You just need to trust in this process that right now it is for you to enjoy. Reap the rewards of the hard work you've put in yourself and enjoy the contentment you feel right now. But don't hurt people along your way because you're not feeling good about yourself. Okay, so I'm gonna pull out a few tarot cards. Angel guys, spirits, please help me connect with pile number three's energy. What messages of kindness we can bring to them, or what healing messages can we give them? Taking this upright, we have Knight of Wands. Taking this upright, we have Page of Swords. Taking this reverse, Two of Swords. Upright reverse, Spirit. Reverse, and we are taking this High Priestess. And we have the Death, definitely. Bottom of the deck, I see the Three of Swords and Justice. Again, so much Libra energy. A karmic phase in your life. We have Three of Swords. Wheel of Fortune and the Hierophant. Again, a lot about lessons. So you are going through something quite prominent. We have Justice, High Priestess, Death. Three major arcanas. Pisces, Scorpio, again Libra. Three of Swords give me a very Saturn energy always. With Two of Swords, illusions breaking, Page of Swords, retracing your memories, and Knight of Wands. Somebody could have been in and out of your life, and you're holding yourself strictly reliable for the way they treated you, how you couldn't trust them. Maybe you didn't listen to your intuition in that moment and it led you to a heartbreak. I think the ending of this relationship could have severely affected you. And I think you want to hold this person liable, but maybe the reason why you're bleeding on to other people is because you couldn't say the things you wanted to say to this person. Maybe you didn't feel the freedom to express that to this person, that you really hurt me. And even if you did, maybe this person did not respond back in the same manner you wanted them to. I think that they did not repair the damage and it left you feeling really broken. But I feel like mentioning that even if that person had owned up to their behavior, it wouldn't have healed the pain that is inside you. You would have had to done that. It would bring you some consolation, some mental peace, some clarity, closure, but I think it wouldn't heal your heart. And I think that you need to process these feelings because you have probably blocked yourself to love. With the Two of Swords, it can be that you've made a decision that maybe I just want to move on. And in the process of moving on, I think you're shutting your heart because maybe you still feel for this person. And again, a part of maybe releasing the love that you have for this person, or just letting it subside and not be the focal attention, is also to feel it and heal it. Feel it and heal it. It's like nothing that this person could have done should lead you to blocking yourself from love. And I think that this requires for you to pay more attention to this. Maybe you weren't seeing this. Maybe you don't know to the degree of how much this has affected you, because I know that you're just trying to protect yourself. And a lot of us do that. Even I do that sometimes when I don't understand why I'm not able to feel certain emotions. Why am I not able to cry about it? It's because I'm protecting myself from the pain that really I'm feeling inside. And I feel like once I open that door, it's gonna really hurt me. It's gonna put me off balance. I can't make time for so many emotions because I have things to do that are related to my survival, my sustainability. But I think you need to trust in the universe that they will back you up through this process. You need to let go of the memories, extract the lessons from it, learn from it, and implement it in a wiser way rather than bleeding onto other people. So I see that over here with the Two of Swords. That's a very important energy. It's like you've made some sort of decision, whether it's to reunite or to just let go of this person. And maybe your intuition has been telling you that it's time to maybe let go of this. This could be a divine counterpart. That's why it hurt you so much. But I see that over here, there is time to reinvent yourself through this experience and not get stuck into that past version of story that defines your life. Okay? I think that this inflated ego comes from a place where you're trying to show the world that you're okay with what happened, or just trying to make believe within yourself. Sometimes it's not even about the world, sometimes it's just about the way that we're telling ourselves that we're okay, we're moving on, I'm not hurt. But I think you need to at least look at how it's hurting you behind closed doors if you're not okay with other people. I think that would be a minor step you can take to heal this. The last card that we have is freedom. Thank you, Spirit. This just confirms that you don't feel free in expressing that to yourself. Maybe if this person didn't allow you, maybe people in your childhood made you feel like this self-expression is not healthy for them. They can't carry the guilt of what they've done to you. They shut you out. I think that this would be to not shut yourself out as well. It's a healthier way to cope up with these emotions, than a healthier way to understand yourself and not rob yourself of that safe intimacy with yourself. I think a part of it that you're not able to process these emotions or get close to another person is because you're not offering that intimacy with yourself. You're getting scared of seeing those deeper emotions within yourself, and it makes you icky to see those deeper emotions in other people as well. So I think that this is a moment of clarity for you, pile number 3. This is a moment of growth. And every lesson or circumstance really teaches us something. Sometimes it gets really hard. And maybe this is a point where you needed somebody to tell you that the pain is still inside you and you need to give it more time, but not close yourself off to love. So before we conclude, I'm gonna take out a few advice cards for you, pile number 3. I'm hearing your spirit guides say that you're a beautiful soul and you didn't deserve that. But there was definitely a lesson you had to learn. Maybe you were being a little bit naive, or it was a lesson about give and take. Equality in relationships, definitely with the Libra, it's about fairness. We have meander. Memory. Wow, this confirms it. Thank you, Spirit. We have influence and resistance. Such powerful cards for you. I think that you don't need much explanation about things. You really do understand. It's like once you get the key point about it, things start aligning for you. Certain times we don't see things because we're not emotionally making ourselves available to see those things about ourselves. So I think that maybe this is a detour in your connection with this person. Maybe you're resisting the feelings that you have for this person still. And you need freedom to just experience whatever it is. Even if this person did you wrong, I think you still need to accept that you still care, you still love them. It's not about repeating the same behavior, going back them, hitting them up, hey, I miss you. It's about just sitting with that feeling, I know you're better than that. It's about still letting go of that painful memory about what happened And maybe in your childhood somebody has done that to you. Maybe somebody shuts you out. Maybe your parents have shut you out of emotions, or they don't want to listen as to how they've hurt you. They can't. Maybe you belong from a family where you're not allowed to cry, or you weren't as a child, because the adults couldn't bear the guilt of making a child cry, so they would be like, please stop crying. I think you need somebody to hear that. This person could have ran away from accountability. And you need to see how those memories sort of play in your present, and they are making you succumb to your own demons. It's about you to understand the influence of that subconscious memory, because we had the picture of a cerebral sort of like puzzle or whatever design on your thumbnail. And I think that this is a lot about, maybe this is repeating because it was meant to teach you how it relates to your subconscious pattern, because you attracted this behavior, or I would say this manifestation of reality with this person, so that you can repair this, right? You attracted it from an internal frequency, and this person could have resisted from maybe solving things, and you really took that to heart. And of course, I understand it can be very, very painful. Your emotions are valid, your aggression is valid, but that anger is not towards other people. That anger can come from your childhood, and that anger can come from this person who hurt you. But the other people who are not involved or nearly close to it do not deserve this, okay? Understand the influence of your emotions and where it's coming from and who it needs to be directed towards and how it needs to be dealt with, right? Pile number 3. So this was your reading. I really do hope that you found a message that was helpful. If you did, please do hit the like button, subscribe for more, hit the bell icon so you know whenever I upload next. Let me know down in the comment section how that resonated, and I'm going to see you guys in another one. Bye.